Hi everyone, welcome back. Today, let's try to solve one tricky problem which has been asked in Uber data analyst interview. Let's say we have two tables. One is table trips, which contains all the trips that a taxi has made. ID represents the trip ID, which is the primary key for this table. It also contains client ID, driver ID, its status of the trip, and the day in which the trip has been requested. The second table is user table, which contains all the users. It could be a driver or it could be a client, and it also has a role which is specified the user and whether it has been banned or not banned. Now the problem says that we need to write down a solution to find the cancellation rate of request with unbanned user. The user, both client and driver, must not be banned. And the date range for the cancellation rate is 1st of October 2013 to 3rd of October 2013 with at least one trip. And at the end, we need to round the cancellation rate up to 2 decimal points. Now, let's look at the example. So as you can see in this trip table, we have client ID, driver ID. Both of these IDs are the foreign keys. Both client ID and driver IDs are the foreign keys to the user ID of the users table. Okay, we also have a status of each trip, whether it has been completed or not, or it has been cancelled by the driver or cancelled by the client, and at what date it has been requested. We need to find the cancellation rate, but it has not been specified whether it has been cancelled by the driver or by the client. It could be anyone. We also have the user table, which contains the user IDs and its role and whether it has been banned or not banned. Now, before writing down the SQL query, you all must have been thinking that when we'll join both of these two tables, what would be the foreign key of trips table needs to be joined with the user ID of the users table, whether it should be client ID or the driver ID. Well, if you think about our ultimate goal, we need to find the cancellation rate, and in that cancellation rate we don't need to include those rows who are banned. So we need to exclude those rows from the trips table who are banned, and we know that both client ID or the driver ID both can be banned. So to get that, we need to join the user ID with both foreign keys, client ID as well as driver ID. And we need to exclude the rows in which client ID is banned or the driver ID is banned. If any one of them is banned in a particular row, we need to exclude that. It will be more clear when we write down the SQL query. Now let's move to the editor. Okay, so we have our editor here now. So first do select star from table trips, take the alias of it as t and join it with the users, call it as u1, and in on condition remember that we need to join it with client ID. Let's join it with client ID first, and u1 dot user ID, users ID, and along with that we also need to put one more condition, that the user ID which we are bringing from the user table should not be banned. So add one more condition, that u1 dot band column should be equals to no, that the user is not banned. Okay, so it has been joined successfully. So let's look at the example again, that in our trips table we have overall 10 rows in which client id 2 is banned in the user table. That means all the rows in which we have a client id 2, that needs to be removed from here. So row 2, 6 and 8 needs to be removed from here. And if you'll run this particular code, you'll see that these rows will have been removed from our output. See, this is our output, and we don't have row 2, row 6 and row 8. This code will only work if our client is banned but none of the drivers are banned. But let's say, what if driver can also be banned? They have properly mentioned this part, that both client and driver must not be banned. So let's write down another join operation with the same table and call this second table as u2 and put the on condition. And now in this on condition, instead of client id, we'll join it with the driver id. It's same u2 dot users id, and now we'll put the same condition again, that u2 dot band column should be no, that driver should not be banned. Let's look at the question again. We have one more condition that we need to put here, that the date range should be from 1st of October till 3rd of October. So we need to put the where clause request add column which represents the date should be between 2013 10/01 and 2013 10/03. This would be the date range. Now we got all the rows that we wanted in our output. We just need to write down the formula for the cancellation rate, and for that we need to check the output. In output we need day, and request at is the column which represents the date. So we need request add column, and it should be aliased as day in our output. Then now for the cancellation rate formula, it should be sum of the numerator would be count of all the trips that has been cancelled. So the case when p dot status, and it should not be equals to cancelled, that means it should be equals to cancelled. It could be by driver or it could be by client, so it should not be equals to completed. If that is the case, then 1 else 0 and end. This will give us the count of all the like trips which have been cancelled. And now we need to divide it with some, we don't need to do sum here, we'll simply do count of star, which will give all the trips whether it has been completed or not, because we need the rate. So all the trips that has been cancelled needs to be divided with all the trips. We need to call it as cancellation rate, and at the end we have one more condition, that this cancellation rate should be rounded up to 2 decimal points. Okay, it should be cancellation rate. Now run this code again showing the wrong answer. Okay, we have not put the group by operation here, so it should be group by 1 because we are using the aggregated functions. Run the code again and it got accepted. Now if you have any queries related to any part of this particular problem, do comment it out, and if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe it for more. Thank you.